In sports, if you want to be the best, there are no off days.
We made it. We're centipedes. Centrons. Centaurs.
We have horse bodies and man
Yes,
heads.
that's it too. And this is episode 100 of the No Off Days podcast. Who would have thought? I didn't think we'd get double digits, let alone triple, but here we are.
You know, when we made 50, I said there is no way I can do 50 more of these.
Yeah.
But here we are.
I think the secret sauce is that people don't know we exist. So that helps. We kind of fall between the cracks a little bit.
We're like bacteria. We spread in silence.
Yes.
Yeah. And next thing you know, we take over.
We're an amoeba. We're gremlins. That's what we are. Just add water and we'll do it.
How about that?
Yeah. Well,
100 episodes.
It is a remarkable feat, and truthfully, it's been a lot of fun. And actually, to pay like a debt of gratitude to you, I've been taking some night classes, working on some pencil art.
Oh, have you?
And so
Okay.
I wanted to draw something for you, and I'll give it to you at the end, but I'm gonna just start it now.
Okay. This isn't going to end well.
No, I'm gonna start it now, and throughout the show, I'm gonna be working on it, and then
I've seen some of your drawings.
okay, and I'll present it at the end of the show.
I cannot wait. I'm going to have 3 eyeballs.
100, triple digit mark. I thought of a couple hundreds that are big.
Okay,
I think
got
it's a
some big
significant number. Yeah, I mean 100 is a perfect square number, so it's a square root of 10, right? Is 10, right? On the Celsius scale, 100 degrees. That's boiling temperature water, right? So,
Yeah.
and I feel like we're kind of just starting to boil.
We are, yeah.
March 2nd, 1962. One Wilt Chamberlain set an NBA record. How many points he scored? Yeah.
Dude, that's going to be a record that stands
absolutely.
for a while.
Bob Hope, George Burns, very funny individuals, lived to be 100. I think we're right there on par with them. The Hancock Tower in Chicago. It's one of the more impressive buildings. I don't know if you've been there, seen it.
It's no Willis Tower. But yeah, I've seen
but it's
it.
100 stories, so
Okay.
that's the point. Here's some hundreds that we're better than. Okay, and I feel like I could say this.
Yeah.
Any snack that claims to be 100 calories. Okay? Like, why even waste the calories? It tastes awful. There are 100 pennies in a dollar, and you're worth more than 100 pennies.
Oh, thank you.
And plus, it's cumbersome. Who wants to carry 100
That's
100
the nicest
pennies?
thing
Right?
you've ever said about me.
Pennies are very annoying. There are 100 letter tiles in the game of Scrabble. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
We're better than Scrabble, I think.
Isn't the X tile worth 100? No, maybe 8.
And then the United States Senate has 100 senators, and I think we're at least as productive as they are. Right?
Much more productive.
Okay,
than they
so
are.
there we go. Yeah, I mean, it's a significant number.
That was good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. With that, what, you have one?
No, I couldn't think of any good one. I thought of a couple of bad 100s.
Okay.
The Levi 100s. Do you ever wear of those?
Okay.
But, not as comfortable as the Levi 500s.
They were stiff.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're better than that.
I think they're like Marlboro 100s. You don't want to touch those. Those
Yeah.
cause problems.
Yeah, instant problems.
I couldn't really think of any good
Okay.
good 100s.
Well, then now you're thinking of one. Episode 100 of the No Off Days podcast. For more on this episode, let's bring in Brian King in the booth. BK, we made it, my friend. I mean, are you as happy as we are?
I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
You were here for all 100, weren't you, Brian? I mean, I can't say that. I missed, I think, 2 episodes somewhere along the way.
Physically, yes. Mentally, maybe not.
Okay. What percentage do you think you were here?
I'll give myself, like my college grades, maybe like a 75, 70%.
Well, that's pretty good.
Are you here today?
That's
mentally?
passing.
I'm getting there.
Okay, he's getting there.
I'll
Yes.
be here by the 3rd block.
Yeah. All right. Well, very good. What do we have on this 100th episode of the NODPOD?
Special episode. We're going to bring in a special guy, Brett McMurphy.
Yes.
I know him here well. Going to get his thoughts on some college football, what's going on with the landscape. I think we got a pretty good gauge of what the college football season is like now, or do we? I mean, we got some big games this weekend.
Yeah.
And so we'll get his thoughts, and should we get him to join our picks too?
I think if we can get him to stick around, yeah.
You know, he gives out, I follow him on Action Network, he gives out good picks.
He does.
He's a good guy to follow,
Okay.
so
And
maybe he can help us a little.
He does I love these things. I don't know if you do this, Cato, but every like Sunday, I always check like the bold predictions for all the teams of where they're going to go. And regardless who it is, regardless what team, I always check like USF, what bowl they slated in after they lose to Miami or something like that. And McMurphy does that. He puts out his own little bowl projection things, and I love those lists.
Every weekend it shifts.
Yeah.
He's got someone different in the Alamo Bowl.
Speaking of good picks, are we going to have any type of update as to, are we keeping track of our picks? I feel like I'm curious. I just want to know if we're keeping track of any of these.
I see what's going on here.
Do you?
He thinks he's leading in the picks.
He knows
I don't know. Am I? I felt like I had a good week last week.
I don't know. I think I might be close.
Well, we could update the picks.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we should do that.
Maybe we can work on that for episode 101.
Sounds good.
And we also have cake. By the way, I don't know if you know this.
We had, that's what we're known for.
It was special ordered, so we'll have a cake ceremony at the end.
Wouldn't be a NODPOD without cake.
No, let's mark the occasion.
All right,
thanks, BK. We'll catch
candles.
up. If you're listening and you want to watch, go to fox13news.com/NODPOD. If you're watching and you want to listen or subscribe, take out your phone. You can zap the QR code on the screen. It's the same one we've had for the previous 99. Why haven't you zapped it yet? Zap that QR code, and there you can find all 99 previous episodes, and there are at least a couple good ones in there. fox13news.com/NODPOD. We invite you to leave a 5-star. All right, before we get into college football, because we're going to be diving into a lot of that when Brett jumps on with us, but the NFL season, we're 3 games in. I'm thinking maybe 3 big takeaways. What are the things that so far we've seen? It's still early, and a lot of things can change. A lot of things will change, but that you pull away from already through the first handful of games. Do you have a couple?
Yeah, I do think we've seen enough to say for certain that some of these things are going to stick through the season. Even though it is early, I know it's only 3 games in, but and maybe this is recency bias after seeing the Monday Night Football game the other night, but the Bills are actually very good. The Buffalo Bills are a good team, and I want to just, we keep receipts here. Obviously, you want to see what our picks look like later on, but as you guys know, if you've listened to our podcast, we did our division breakdowns.
Sorry,
I believe.
Hang on.
Okay, still sketching over there.
Okay.
We did our division previews, episodes 89 through 94, if you want to look them up. But I was a little down on the Bills. You may remember thinking this would be a year of transition. They lose Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis. I didn't know what they would have at wide receiver.
Yeah.
And no, Josh Allen says, I don't need a dominant wide receiver. I'm going to distribute the ball to everyone. And I love the way that Joe Brady's calling that offense. The defense is good. And, Josh Allen looks like an MVP at this point.
Yeah. Among the things that I also have gotten wrong and surprised to see is the success of some of these journeyman quarterback. I mean, so much focus on getting younger at quarterback and all the quarterbacks that went in the draft. And, of course, that story is yet to be written. Not sure yet about Caleb Williams. Jaden Daniels looks certainly good. He's actually on my list. But the success of the journeyman. So Sam Darnold going up to Minnesota, and nobody saw that coming, and they're off to a great start. Andy Dalton last week stepping in there at Carolina.
Red rifle.
It sounds like they've kind of moved on from Bryce Young, at least temporarily. I mean, if Andy's doing this kind of stuff, he was throwing some dimes out there, getting that Dave Canales offense cooking. Even Gardner Minshew to a certain degree. I know that the results haven't really been there yet for the Raiders, but I think statistically he's done pretty well, taking good care of the football, distributing it. So some of these journeyman quarterback. I mean, Baker Mayfield was one of those guys that did that last year for the Bucs. I hate, it's kind of a derogatory word, but like a retread. That's not really fair to say, but guys that basically they tried in other places, maybe weren't as successful, thought maybe that ship had sailed. At one point they were heralded, but now getting a few years of NFL experience under their belt, starting to find some life, and I think experience obviously goes to show that some of that experience in the NFL under center can go a long way.
Well, and Sam Darnold may be your poster child for that, right? What they're doing there in Minnesota. I mean, that's probably the surprise of this very early season is how good the Vikings are. That Kevin O'Connell offense is just clicking. Darnold looks like he's in command of it. And their defense, I thought after losing Daniil Hunter or having to trade him due to, cash problems to the Texans, they'd take a step back. But, man, they're playing some good ball here. They've scored 85 points through 3 games and held opponents to 30. That's the second best differential in the league there.
Yeah, it's a surprise for sure. I have the on the other side of that, the dead Dolphin offense. I mean, this thing is just I know that they've lost Tua, and that's part of it, but that doesn't tell the whole story. I mean, this offense just is not producing. They're averaging a league low 11 points per game. And here I thought going into the season just a few weeks back when we did our AFC East projections, I had the Dolphins winning that division. Now, anything could potentially happen. I don't see it happening right now. But my reasoning behind that was because I thought nobody's going to be able to stop this offense.
Right.
And everybody's stopping this offense.
Well, it's a different offense.
Yeah.
Let's park it there for a second. And I had that on my list. I'm fascinated what the Dolphins do here because the season is too young to cash it in and just turn the keys of this offense over to a Skylar Thompson or Tim Boyle or Tyler Huntley, who they've brought in. What do you think they do? Do they go after someone? You get
I mean, what are the potential trades that are out there? I mean, there's a Russell Wilson. You know, if his time is done as a Steelers starting quarterback, if they're ready to move on with Fields, I mean, there's, you know, backups here like a Kyle Trask. There's a Garoppolo. The problem is that now you know, it would have to be a guy on the more experienced side because you're going to ask somebody to come in here and pick up an offense that's midstream.
I think Bryce Young, you get him because he's got a rookie contract.
That to me does not make any sense. I mean, I get it from a dollars and cents, but you don't make this move to make a smart financial decision. You make this move because you need help right now with a team that you feel like should be otherwise a playoff-ready team. And, you know, Bryce Young hasn't showed you anything yet to think that he's going to be able to just go down to Miami and then, you know, start this offense up. I think you would need an experience. A Garoppolo would be a good fit. I think a Russell Wilson would be intriguing. But, again, you're talking about NFL trades at quarterback. How often does that happen where we see – like a quarterback step into a starting role?
You could get Garoppolo for a draft pick, a second rounder.
Yeah, no, I'm saying you get a lot of these guys for a relatively cheap cost, but you know it's the learning curve, learning that offense. So those are a few of the surprises. Honestly, like Jaden Daniels, what he's doing. We talk about young quarterbacks.
That guy's the dude.
I mean, this guy, 80+% passing completion percentage. He had an amazing game on what was that Monday, the Monday night game.
Yeah.
But it's not just him. Although I think the team obviously takes its cues from it. This is a relatively young team across the board. Offensively, they have yet to turn the ball over. They're taking good care of the football.
They don't even punt. Their punter sits over there eating cupcakes.
Right. So yeah, that's something I think we might be able to take part in too. But yeah, I mean, we saw that win for the Bucs come against the Washington Commanders team. That was week 1. Yeah. I mean, and I thought that they showed some signs even in that game, though the Bucs won decisively, that there's certainly some problem. I mean, when you get Jaden Daniels rolling, I mean that guy out of the pocket, he's just lightning fast. So it's a dangerous team, and if you're a rookie quarterback that's taking care of the football like he is. Yeah. Man, that could be C.J. Stroud level rookie success.
Yeah, remember in episode 90 when I said I said too much faith in Kingsbury you have. I was wrong about that. Maybe that faith was well placed.
Kingsbury.
That's what I called him then. Okay. I just want to be accurate.
All right.
Yeah, I called him Kingsbury.
Yeah, anything. I mean, obviously the Ravens and the Cowboys rocky start. I think that. I don't know. I don't believe as my projections earlier were. I don't remember the episode. But I don't believe the Cowboys are going to have a great season. That was my hunch back then.
I said I thought they would, and I don't see how they do. They're so one-dimensional now. The defense isn't good. Dak's throwing it 55 times a game. Yeah. I don't know that they're going to win 12 games.
The Ravens' slow start, I think that corner is going to turn here soon. Mm-hmm. They have too many weapons. So yeah. How about another story that I found intriguing in the NFL? So Dan Campbell, he's like the beloved adopted son of Detroit. Like, I mean, this guy, he comes in and he leads this team to success that they haven't had probably since 1953 or 52 when before the Super Bowl when they won a championship. And yet he gets doxxed. He had to move. They had to move out of their home because one of his daughter's classmates frustrated that they had lost a game. I believe it was the NFC Championship game.
Right.
He puts their address out there. They're getting harassed. They got fans coming. Like, how is this even possible? If this happens while the Lions are experiencing this level of success, what would happen if they actually struggled this year? I mean, he's still saying, love Lions fans. They're great. Love them.
And I know it takes a few crazies.
It takes a few crazies. But like to me, it's like the entitlement bus has pulled up in Detroit a little bit. You're like, okay, do you not remember the lean years, which are significant and illustrious? There are a lot of those to choose from. That like I don't think for all of Dan Campbell's kind of quirks about his play calling and his risk taking. I mean, my goodness, like it far surpasses, the last dozen coaches that they've
Definitely,
had.
Yeah.
And so, but I just thought a little ironic. I don't know if that's one of the stories that from the NFL. I mean, the Lions, they did have the loss to the Bucs. I think they'll probably be okay. But I mean, if there's anybody that's got to be beloved in a city.
Well, I think you're putting a little too much on. This was a group of high school kids, and you're a seasoned individual. I'm not calling you old, but I'm saying you have perspective of knowing the Lions have been awful, and you have a lot of these new fans, young, that have just jumped on board during this magical period. Yeah, they got a little bent out of shape that he went for it against the 49ers there, and you probably shouldn't put his address on Snapchat and show up in his driveway.
Yeah, I'm not saying that like these fans are coming to like terrorize them, right. But like it got to the point where his wife was like, "Yeah, I don't know if I really feel safe when you're on road games." So I think it's maybe time to move. I
think she just wanted an upgrade in-house.
Well, that could be.
Like the dick shoes. I'm just glad I know what doxed means now. When you sent me this rundown this morning with this subject line, Dan Campbell doxed, I was like, oh my gosh, is this? I guess I'm an old guy. I don't know these young terms like you do, but I thought it meant that he had gotten, like, a doctor sneaks you a vaccine that you didn't ask for.
Oh,
like he got doxed.
Yes, he got doxed.
Because the way you spelled it with 2 X's. So I was like, oh, he didn't get vaxxed. He got doxed.
Yeah. Well,
I should have asked Mariah, our resident millennial Gen Z speaker over here.
Let's explain it, because I don't think we've even done that yet. If you don't know what dox is, it's like the releasing, public releasing of your home address, right? So like important personal details, right? Which is not, it's not
like
good.
Scott's house is at Estrella Avenue and.
Yeah, so it's like that. Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, buddy. How's my drawing coming over there?
Hang on. I'm gonna alter it now just because of those comments. All right, very good. Hey, all right. What do you say we talk a little college football?
I love it.
All right, coming up on the other side, works for the Action News Network, but he's been all over. He has roots here in Tampa. Brett McMurphy, college football insider, joins us next. And we're gonna hopefully we can get him to stick around and do some picks with us too, because this guy knows a thing or two.
Maybe we should offer him cake.
Yeah, good stuff. Stay with us. NODPOD's back after this. Welcome back to the No Off Days podcast. Chris, it's a distinct honor to welcome in our guest. He's got the college football world covered, and he has some roots here in Tampa. He used to work for the Tampa Tribune, in fact. Our guest, Brett McMurphy, America's college football insider with the Action Network. Thank you so much for joining us, Brett. Do you still reside in the Bay Area, I believe?
Still am. Here in Tampa, yeah.
Beautiful.
Been here for a long time. So,
all right, let's get into some college football here, Brett. Earlier this week, obviously some news coming out of the Pac-12 endeavoring more expansion and reaching out to some of our teams here in the AAC, including one USF. They have declined. What are it seemed like on its face it would have been more of a lateral move. Explain kind of what the viability is of this, what the Pac-12 is attempting to do here and grow their division back, their conference back.
Regarding USF, you're dead on. It was a lateral move. I mean, the Pac-12 is looking to add Memphis, Tulane, USF, and possibly UTSA out of the American to come to the Pac-12. The only thing with the new Pac-12 that resembles the old Pac-12 is the name. There's nothing else the same. Yeah. The money is different. The money will be different. There is no, you're not a power conference. You don't get a bigger slice of the revenue pie from the college football playoff. There's no automatic bid. So basically, yeah, it's a lateral move, except for USF. It's a lateral move all the way across the country. The biggest hang up for the AAC schools was that the Pac-12 was projecting how much money they would make in the new conference. They couldn't give them a specific number because they don't know what their TV deal is yet. So it's like if I said, hey guys, I got a job offer for you. I'm projecting you'll make $100 a week, $100 an hour, whatever it is. And you're like, great, let's do it. And then you come to work, 2 months later. And I'm like, look, sorry, I can only pay you $20 an hour. That's basically kind of what the Pac-12 was doing. And so because of the uncertainty of the Pac-12's deal, because again, take the Pac-12 name out of it, and it's just basically the Mountain West. It's Oregon State, Washington State, and the 5 schools they added from the Mountain West. So the AAC did the smart move.
We're far from being settled in terms of the power conferences. What's going to happen with FSU and Clemson? And I mean, there may be an opportunity to jump to an actual Power 4 at some point for
exactly.
USF.
You're right. Yep.
I was going to ask you how you think this whole Clemson FSU thing, ACC, will shake out. But you know what? That's off-season fodder. We're in the middle of an exciting – well, not the middle, but we've got an exciting college football season going right now. So, 3 or 4 games in, depending on who's had a bye and who hasn't, what are your big picture takeaways so far, Brett, and what you've seen across the country? Who's good? Who's not good?
Who's not good? Well, Florida State. They don't have a quarterback, and I have a vote in the AP top 25. My preseason ballot, I had Florida State 18 or 19, so I had them lower than everybody else. They were ranked in the top 10. I didn't feel like they'd be obviously as strong as last year, but I did not envision this drop off. But it's obvious they don't have a quarterback. DJU is not the answer for Florida State, which just shows what an incredible job Jonathan Smith did at Oregon State with DJU, because he was very successful there. For whatever reason, he's not at Florida State. On the flip side, who's really good that I didn't expect? I knew Tennessee would be good. I didn't know they'd be this good. Now, I know they beat 3 tomato cans, but they just beat Oklahoma. That's an impressive win. They still have Alabama and Georgia on the schedule. If they can split those 2 games, they've got a real shot to get to the SEC title game and at worst get to the college football playoff. I am a little bit surprised they are doing this well, putting up just monster numbers. And also, even though USC lost at Michigan, I'm very, very surprised how well Lincoln Riley's defense has played this year. Last year, me, you 2 guys, we find 8 other guys. We could have put up 25 on USC's defense. That's how bad they were. They've made tremendous strides. Big win in the opener against LSU. I don't think they'll compete for the Big Ten title, but I do think they're certainly a dark horse to make the college football playoff.
In terms of the playoff, it's obviously way early, but some projections based on what's currently available have been made now to kind of reassess. Everybody made their preseason playoff picks, and now they have some actual data to go off of. And right now they have your 4 byes as Texas, Ohio State, Miami, Utah. And then 5 through 12, you got Georgia, Bama, Tennessee, Oregon, Ole Miss, Penn State, Mizzou, and Boise State sneaking in there at that 12 spot. Brett, I know you made some predictions at the beginning of the season. Chris and I did as well. Are there some? How does what we currently see line up with what you thought was going to play out there at the beginning?
Well, I'm happy to say, I talked about my preseason ballot. I had Miami in the top 10 on my preseason ballot. I was the only voter that had Miami in the top 10 in the preseason. I've got them up to 5 or 6 right now. Look, they've got a ton of talent. And I talked about the struggles at quarterback for Florida State. Look at Miami's quarterback, Cam Ward. Yeah. I was at the game Saturday at Ray J. Kid's incredible. I think he's a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate, and that makes a big difference. If you don't have a quarterback in today's game, you don't have a chance. So I agree with Miami. The Tennessee, Missouri, and Ole Miss trio there, there's no way those 3 are going to make the playoff because they're going to start playing each other in the SEC. They're going to suffer some losses. They're going to shuffle down. Will one of the 3 get in? Absolutely. Will 2 of the 3? Maybe, but there's absolutely no way all 3 get in. I mean, I don't have Missouri in my top 10. They have not been impressive at all. They barely beat Boston College, which maybe isn't that bad. Should have lost to Vanderbilt. That is bad. Missouri will get exposed. It's just their schedule is so easy. But certainly I think Texas is a lock. Ohio State, Georgia's a lock. I don't see how Alabama doesn't get into the playoff either as a champ or a runner-up. And then I picked Utah to win the Big 12. They beat my alma mater last week in Stillwater without Cam Rising. If they can get Cam Rising back, I think they are the clear-cut favorite to win the Big 12. I don't think the Big 12 gets a second team in the league because that league is so crazy competitive. Although UCF right now, they've got as good a shot as anybody. They get prime time in Orlando on Saturday as long as the Hurricane cooperates.
All right. Well, you just heard him throw Missouri in the trash can,
well,
and that was your preseason.
I got the receipts right here. I was about to own up. I've got Missouri. I had them in the playoff because of their easy schedule, and I thought
that makes sense.
I thought they would be better with Luther Burden III, and they could still get in. But I don't like how they look right now. I'll be honest with that. Two teams you mentioned there that I'm fascinated because we haven't seen them play really anyone yet. Ohio State and Ole Miss. Of those 2, Brett, which of those 2 excites you more, or which of those 2, I guess, makes you want to see more and to see really, are our eyes deceiving us, or is this a legitimate, title contender here?
Well, I want to see more out of Ole Miss. I mean, Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin is on a mission this year. He wants Jackson Dart to win the Heisman, and he's putting up some monster numbers. But again, you're right. We don't know much about Ole Miss because they haven't played anybody. That will change once we get into SEC play. Also, this is unique for Ole Miss. They've never been a favorite as far as one of the teams expected to compete for the SEC title. So it's kind of a different mentality. How do they handle that? I mean, look, the last time an Ole Miss coach won 10 or more games in consecutive seasons, they named the stadium after him, John Voight. John Vaught. John Voight's the guy who chewed on the pencil in Seinfeld. John Vaught. Yeah, so Vaught. So maybe they call it Lane Kiffin Field at John Vaught Stadium. Ohio State, I was at Big Ten Media Day in Indianapolis. I've been covering, I'm dating myself, college football since basically man invented fire. This is the first time any school has ever come out before the season and said, if we don't win the national championship, it's a disappointment. Now, teams or players have said that privately. Never has the head coach and all the key players come out and said that publicly. You can go back the 80s, the 90s, the 70s, the 2000s. Nobody's ever said that before the season. That's why I wonder, once Ohio State gets in and faces some tougher competition, is the pressure there to win the national title so that they get to the point where they play almost, instead of playing to win, they play not to lose? Maybe it doesn't matter. If they're not 1A, they're 1B as far as Georgia is the most talented teams in the country. But I still want to see more out of the quarterback, Will Howard. I mean, again, he didn't feel that strongly about being the starter at Kansas State, that he left because Avery Johnson was coming up, as a freshman. And so he left and went to Ohio State. Does that bite him later on in the year? We'll have to find out. But those are two. Yeah, that's a great question. Those are two teams to keep an eye on, but for very, very different reasons. And make no mistake, if Ohio State doesn't win the national title, this will be a huge disappointment to Ohio State fans. When I was at the Big Ten Media Days this summer, this is not a joke. Radio interview at the Cleveland radio station. First question out of the box, is Ryan Day on the hot seat? Oh. I said, are you guys freaking kidding me? He's lost like 6 games in 3 or 4 years. He hasn't lost to an unranked team. He hasn't lost to a team ranked lower than number 12, and you want to run him out of town because he's lost a few games to Michigan. So that's kind of the pressure that he's facing and the rest of the Buckeyes are facing this year.
But if he loses to this year's Michigan team, then
he's gone. Yeah, I mean, it's stupid, but they would probably want to get rid of him. It'd be fine. He'd find another job in 2 seconds, but that's kind of the mentality that's going on there right now.
All right, we're going to take a quick break with Brett. On the other side, we're going to get into some of our bigger games around college football this weekend, and we'll get Brett to weigh in and give us his thoughts on these and how they go down. The NODPOD continues right after this. Almost done with this drawing, Chris. Okay. Welcome back to the No Off Days podcast. It is time for some picks. Brett McMurphy from Action News Network, gracious enough to stay on with us. Action Network. Sorry. I'm such a local news guy that I just think Action News. I apologize.
He could be part of the Action News team. Put the trident down, Brett. You just killed a man.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into some of our games this weekend. Let's start right here. USF on the road, jumping into AAC play against Tulane. Tulane, 6-point favorites, a noon kick on Saturday. Brett, how do you see this one going down?
Well, this is obviously a huge game for both teams because you win the American, you've got a shot to get into the playoff. I actually like USF in this game. The one concern I have is you're coming off games, not consecutive, but you're coming off Alabama.
Yeah.
And you're coming off Miami. And do you have anything left in the tank? If you do, I think USF will win this game. Tulane was in a similar situation last week. They were coming off consecutive games against Kansas State and Oklahoma. Games that they coulda, woulda, probably should have won, but they didn't. And then they go play Louisiana Lafayette, a team they could care less about. They struggled, but they won because they had a defensive touchdown and some other miscues by Lafayette. I I'm concerned about, is USF able to put the Miami game behind them? If so, I really like USF. I like what Alex Goalish and the go-go offense is doing. I like USF in this spot. You wonder about the noon. I guess it's 11 Central Time, an early kick. If that will impact either team, and maybe we get off to a sleepy start.
Okay, so he's going with the Bulls to cover the 6-point spread.
That's right.
I like the Bulls
win,
too. Yep. I love my Alex Goalish, but I took Miami last week to cover the spread. I just think the Bulls, unless it's Alabama, they play great defense against Alabama, but everyone else, I just am concerned about the depth on their defense. It caught up to them last week against Miami. This is a good Tulane team here. John Sumrall is a good coach. They play gritty defense. They should have beaten Kansas State. They had them on the ropes. Tough game against Oklahoma. I think the Green Wave covered that 6-point spread there.
Gritty defense that allowed 33 points and 413 yards against the Raging Cajuns last week. I think that their issue is going to be going up against a dual-threat quarterback like Byron Brown. We saw a glimpse of that when they played Oklahoma. Jackson Arnold went off in that game. I understand that's Oklahoma and this is USF, but I think USF, frustrated with how it went down against Bama and Miami, I think they're ready to take out some of those frustrations on a conference foe, so I have USF winning outright. All right, 15th ranked Louisville paying a visit to South Bend. 16th ranked Notre Dame. The Irish come in 6-point favorites, a 3:30 kick on Saturday. Brett, who you like?
I don't know. While I picked USF to pull the outright upset, I'm not going to pick Louisville for the outright upset, but I will take Louisville in the points. Louisville has been very impressive. The first two games were glorified scrimmages, but still very impressive. They got the win against Georgia Tech. Notre Dame, they beat A&M, but I don't think A&M's all that they're cracked up to be. Obviously, the huge loss to NIU. They're struggling through the first half against another MAC team. I'm not convinced with Notre Dame. There's too many question marks. The defense is good. The offense is very pedestrian. Jeff Brom's one of the best coaches out there. Offensively, I think they'll score enough points. Can they win? I don't know, but I'll certainly take the 6 points in the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm with you too on Louisville there playing at South Bend. I just feel like Notre Dame, I just saw Louisville play a team that has a mobile quarterback in Haynes King at Georgia Tech, very similar to Riley Leonard. And we saw Riley really get it going last. He was Notre Dame's offense against, was it Ball State last week, the MAC team that they beat? But I feel like Louisville's defense will be able to bottle him up, and I think that the Cardinals can cover that 6-point spread there in South Bend, where we've seen Notre Dame be rather sleepy at home sometimes.
I saw a Georgia Tech defense last week that bottled up Louisville's run game, kind of made them one-dimensional. I think Notre Dame's a better defense. Their secondary, they're fantastic, maybe one of the best secondaries in the country. Quarterbacks in completing a national low 42% passes against them. So I'll take the under. I know that's not an option, 48.5. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. 6 is a tricky number, but I think it's probably right around a touchdown game. I'm going to get the Irish just barely covering that. All right, here's the big one. Number 2, Georgia. They are favorites on the road in Tuscaloosa, taking on Chris Cato's beloved Crimson Tide. A 7:30 prime time tilt in the SEC. Brett, how's this one shake out?
This is the first time Alabama has been a home underdog since 2007, when a baby-faced freshman named Greg McElroy was the backup for the Tide. They lost to LSU that year. The best thing that happened to Georgia was they dropped from number 1 to number 2. Kirby's going to use that. Nobody's giving us a chance. All this nonsense, even though they're a 2-point favorite. Alabama, home underdog. Kalen DeBoer, nobody's giving us a chance. We're the home underdog. This is the first time Georgia has played at Alabama before fans, also since 2007. They played in 2020. That was the COVID year. Georgia's going to have to come in here and play like they did against Clemson, because if they play like they did against Kentucky, they got no shot. When I'm undecided, I go with the home dog. I'll go with Alabama plus the 2 in what should be just a magnificent game. And this, of the last 6 meetings between these two teams, this is only the second one that is not for the SEC title or for the national title.
Last 8 meetings between Georgia and Bama. Bama has won 7 of them. Of course, this isn't Nick Saban anymore. Georgia is 45-2 in the last 2 seasons. Their 2 losses to Alabama. But again, we've turned a page here. As an Alabama fan, I'm I'm super nervous, but I also cautiously optimistic. Brad, I went back a few weeks ago because I'm a sicko, and I watched that SEC championship game again, last year's Georgia and Alabama. And when Alabama had to have it, when Georgia came back and Alabama needed a drive to score, then they needed another drive to put Georgia away. Late in the fourth quarter, it was Jalen Milroe's legs. And it was Georgia defenders over pursuing and Jalen running for first downs. And I just wonder, I've seen these back when they had the best Alabama teams and Kirby Smart was coaching the defenses at Alabama. The kryptonite to those Bama teams was a mobile quarterback that could also hit you with a deep pass every now and then. And so and also Georgia's offensive line a little banged up with Tate Ratledge. I'm going to take the Tide, the home underdog there.
Oh, I'm surprised.
I know you're shocked. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Jalen Milroe is obviously a problem. I think for me, when it comes to these two teams with as much talent as both teams have, it comes down to a motivational factor and which coach is going to have this team better prepared. I mean, you look at what happened last year. Could Georgia have potentially won the national championship if it wasn't for that SEC loss? The only blemish last year, Kentucky last week. I mean, if anybody, Bama is going to have Georgia's 100% full attention going into a rowdy Tuscaloosa. I think that this is where Kirby Smart is going to thrive. I would hate to have the full attention of these Bulldogs, and for that, and what I think will be the first of what may be multiple meetings this year, I'm going to say Georgia gets it done on the road. They cover the two. All right, FSU paying a visit to SMU. Can they string together consecutive wins? Those Mustangs are 5.5-point favorites. It's an 8:00 kick Saturday night. What do you like, Brett?
I can't believe, the preseason line on this is probably Florida State by 7, but I don't care. I'm taking SMU. I'm laying the points. SMU looks like has figured out their offensive issues. They had kind of going back and forth at quarterback. They broke out against TCU, the infamous Iron Skillet series. Winner gets the Iron Skillet trophy. The loser has to eat it. I think that SMU is light years better than Florida State right now, especially on offense. And that loss for SMU against BYU, that's seeing what BYU did to Kansas State. That's not a bad loss now, as it seems. The close call against Nevada. Nevada's vastly better than a lot of people think. Florida State, we know what they have. They're not suddenly going to be. I look at Florida State and I compare them to Oklahoma. Oklahoma, I picked Tennessee last week against Oklahoma. Oklahoma, we saw what they did the first 3 games offensively. They're not miraculously going to be a better offensive team overnight. It's the same thing with Florida State. You're on the road, SMU's first ever ACC game. Rhett Lashley, really like him as an offensive coach. He's a good dude also. I like the Mustangs.
Yeah, I'm with Brett on this one. Again, Florida State, I'm glad they got a win and got to beat Cal. They were kind of lucky to beat Cal in that situation. I think Cal's travel finally caught up to them there. But I'm just not seeing it again from Florida State's offense. And I think SMU has found something. They Lashley realized he had to go away from Preston Stone, go to a more mobile quarterback in Jennings. They absolutely blitzed TCU last week. I like the Mustangs in this one. Yeah,
they ain't the Pony Express, but they can run the ball, and I think they're going to do that, dominate the clock. Rashard Smith has done a fantastic job, and as you mentioned, Jennings, a dual-threat quarterback. FSU has struggled defensively against those guys. I just don't think that offense can generate enough points to hang with SMU on the road. I like the Mustangs to cover at home as well. All right, lads, one game from the NFL. It's the Eagles, 2.5-point favorites as they head to Raymond James Stadium Sunday, 1 o'clock, a game you can watch right here on Fox. Brett, who you like?
I want to be upfront with you guys here. I'm an Oklahoma State grad. So you've got 2 OU quarterbacks going head-to-head. So if they tie, I guess the Bucks cover. So I'll take the Bucks plus the points.
Well, this may sway you, but Jalen Hurts is an Alabama quarterback. At least we consider him that.
No.
Well, OU considers him an OU quarterback when he does well.
You're right, when he does well.
Baker went to Tech.
Baker's a Texas Tech quarterback by that thinking, I guess.
The Saints were the darling of the NFL up until the Eagles took them down. Hard place to win there in the Superdome. The Eagles got it done. I just feel like the Bucs, man, they laid such an egg against Denver that they are wanting to get that stink off of them. I think we're going to see a fire back in their defense. I believe that we're going to see, the offense be a little more. It was difficult for them last week. Just for whatever reason, they couldn't convert third downs like they did against the Lions. And plus, I've still got the memory of last season in the playoff game. I know it's a different Eagles team, but boy, they came in here and looked just completely disinterested in tackle football. The biggest reason I'm picking the Bucs is because the underdogs in the NFL just keep winning. That's what I learned this past weekend. So, especially a home underdog, give me the Bucs there.
Yeah, that playoff game that you referenced, the problem was the Eagles could not run the ball. And part of that had to do with guys like Vita Vea and Kalijah Cansey and Antoine Winfield Jr., all three of those guys, as we tape this segment, we're not sure if they're going to be playing on Sunday. Oh, and by the way, the Eagles went out and also solved some of their running issues by getting Saquon Barkley, who is going off, looking vintage. But I'm going to lean on Todd Bowles because they've had success, yes, because of the players, but also because how Todd has schemed up his defense against this particular brand of offense. They found success in the postseason against him. And I just got a funny feeling. I think the Bucs come back after, as you mentioned, a tough one last week against the Broncos, and they improved to 3-1. So I'll take the Bucs and the points.
All right,
that'll do it for our picks. I appreciate it, Brett. Thanks for your insight. Thanks for spending some time with us and going through it, and hopefully we run into you over at Raymond James Stadium.
Can I plug his theme?
Yeah, you guys have a lot of pull with in Tampa Bay and everything. Can we get Rondé Barber to lead the team out of the tunnel, pointing back at his nameplate?
I know. It's about time
Sounds
he does
good
that,
to me.
right?
He needs to do that.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Hey, Big Bets on Campus, Saturday mornings, one of my favorite listens on the Action Network there. Love the work you guys do there. Hey, give me a lock before you go. You got to make us some money here.
Fresno State +4 against UNLV.
Write it down.
All right.
There you go.
Chris is just going to put his 401k on it. Brett, he'll be calling you up on Monday. All right, very
It'll be
good.
a 201k after the weekend.
Right, no doubt.
Thanks,
no
Brett.
doubt. Follow Brett McMurphy, Brett_McMurphy on X, or otherwise known as Twitter. Thank you, Brett. All right, coming up on the other side of the No Off Days podcast, the cake is out of the oven. We're ready to eat it.
How's that drawing coming?
Let me get back to it. Okay. We'll be right back after this.
Mustache boost.
Oh, yeah. Can you just turn your head just a touch? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Could you make my nose a little smaller?
You don't know what I'm drawing. All right, still working on it. Welcome back to the No Off Days podcast. I have a gift that I'm going to be presenting Chris here to mark our 100th show. Have we mentioned that yet? 100 episodes.
100.
Incredible. And we are 3/4 of the way through this here 100th episode. And hey, before we go and before I present this to you, because it's episode 100 of the NODPOD,
Sure.
We had some people that wanted to congratulate us on the success we've
Mayor
had.
Castor is finally coming by with
Unfortunately,
the key to the city?
no. She was going to give us a key to the janitorial closet. I said, let's wait for 200, and maybe you give us a key to the city.
Okay.
But no, I think that people have recognized the success we've had here, and so they wanted to pay a little bit of honor to us. So enjoy these sentiments.
What's this for?
Yeah, NODPOD, 100 episodes. Say something nice.
What the NODPOD?
No Off Days podcast. You've been on it.
Congratulations, guys, on number 100. This is just the beginning, and I know it because the two of you together, you guys are like special. You're on fire.
All right, would you like to congratulate us?
Yeah, no, so I have a lot of free time here. Today is one of the few days where I really got nothing going on.
With any good celebration, it calls for cake, right?
Every celebration.
And there could be no more fitting cake for a moment such as this, or as Scott might say, for a 6-year-old's birthday party.
That's right.
Oh, no, she's still mad about the funfetti.
Then funfetti.
No.
Never first I'm hearing about it.
You've been on, I think, a couple times, actually.
100 episodes?
Correct.
All right. That's some longevity.
What I was thinking about all day today, from the moment I woke up, today is the 100th anniversary. 100 shows, 100 years.
Episodes.
100 episodes.
It's felt like 100 years.
It seems like it's forever,
Yeah.
but it's 100 episodes. So happy 100 episode anniversary.
Thank you, Paul.
I can't wait for number 200, 300, 400. To the stars!
I've grown I have a little more self-control, so you guys can have your cake and eat it too this time. I'm not going to waste it, but I am sincerely happy for
Let me
you.
take this before your hand goes.
Yes. She's not smashing this. She's not smashing this one in our face.
She has no idea how much we really like confetti.
Good work.
Our plan worked. We love confetti.
Yeah, it's our favorite.
It's coming out of my nostrils.
Well, that was delightful. I thought that,
Very touching.
Yeah.
Very touching,
It
I
felt like
thought.
it was from the heart, unprompted, and mostly kind.
It's so good to see those talking heads talking about us.
All right, now for our talking heads to get to what's in front of us. So again, episode 100, if we have not mentioned it enough yet in this podcast. So, a big theme for us throughout the life of the show has been food, pastries, and more specifically, cake.
Probably the most memorable, I would say the most popular and controversial thing we've done is our cake bracket from this past spring.
No better way to celebrate.
Everyone in the newsroom was arguing, fighting about which cake should be included, but
every
really
day.
they won because they got to eat a lot of cake during that time.
And guess who's here because they smelt cake?
Our friends?
Yeah, our friends from the newsroom.
All
All right, come on.
friends from the
As soon as
newsroom.
cake is entered, they are here and they're willing to celebrate. And
there they are.
And thank you for helping us mark this this centennial occasion.
Caitlin and Becca. Who else do we have? We have
Yeah.
Amanda. We have Andrew, and we have Dave Mikes.
There we go.
Come on,
All right,
Dave,
so
come on,
guys,
get back in
enjoy, dig in. Thank you for being a part. And Chris, I've been working on this all show.
there. What have you been
hang on,
sketching over the whole time? This guy's
Just
been
one
drawing
more
over here.
Okay, so this is the gift. 100 episodes. I figured I would draw a little something for you, and so this is what I came up with. What do you think?
Wow! Whoa!
Yeah?
I am.
How about
touched
that? Yeah,
and,
thank you.
And frightened, a little disturbed.
There
but
you
that
go.
is-
All right,
look,
that's my gift to you. I just whipped that up.
Look, this part's perfect. He nailed the jaw and the mouth, but
Do you want to actually reference
the
who
nose.
actually?
At least, you know what? The good thing is when I go to see Dr. Castellano in a few months to have some work done, I can now show him the nose I want.
This is the
'cause
one you want.
That's a good nose. That's a good nose.
Okay.
I've been drawing something for you too.
Oh,
this
have
whole
you?
Time. Yeah. I put this together for you. I drew you a buffalo.
Oh, thank you.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah, that's a bison.
Episode 84.
Yeah.
You drew this for me.
The Harding,
Well, now I'm giving
the
it
still
back to you.
undefeated Harding Bison. Thank
Now
you.
it's yours again.
I bear a striking resemblance to this as well. Yeah,
Well,
especially in the face.
This is lovely. This
Well,
is
thank
too
you.
much.
All right.
Let's dig
It's
in.
time to dig in for
Let's
cake.
eat
All right,
cake.
guys, go for it. Thank you so much, and much thanks to our guest, Brett McMurphy. We got Mariah on the jib. We got Sean on the ones and twos. Chris, the other Chris, should be here for this. And much thanks to BK, of course, in the booth. For Chris, I'm Scott. That's 100. We'll see if we make it to 101.
We'll find
It's,
out.
yeah, highly suspect at this point until the next time we're on. There are no off days. It's
No days off, I
It's the
think.
NODPOD.